It's my pleasure to welcome in as we continue our state championship previews, the head coach of the Jackson Bronx, David Joyce. And back in the title game, before we get to this year's event, let's talk about last Friday. You guys had the same hurdle, same step as a year ago. You passed it. What'd you think of your team's performance in the win at Douglas, Coach?
I thought we played pretty well. Douglas is a really good football team. I'm telling you right now, any other year they're probably state champs. Their team speed, other than Pocatello is a really good football team that might win the 4A state championship in Idaho. That was the fastest team we'd faced, and then their defense was really physical, and so I felt like we kind of took it personal that teams hadn't been able to run the ball on them, and we had kind of been bottled up against some good defenses running the ball, and so we knew going in that we had made a concerted effort to shore up some things in the run game and see if we could run the ball on them a little bit, and we ended up able to do that early on, but that's a good football team.
What do you think was the key in running the football against them better this time?
We're just familiarity for one thing. When you know an opponent as well as second year in a row that we've played them, but seems like here of late we were just one guy that's just a little bit off, whether it be your head on the wrong side or they walk up and it changes your rule, and we missed it at the last second because we go so fast. And so a lot of the stuff that we do when we go fast with tempo, you have to be able to fall back on your rules immediately with no communication, and everybody has to know it, everybody's rule, if it's going to work. And early in the year, and you have some mistakes with that stuff, and it gets better as the year goes on. And so I felt like we finally everybody was on the same page, so to speak.
Well, now here you are back in the championship. I guess big question for you, Coach. What do you think got you here? What do you think allowed you to get back to the 3A title game again?
Well, we have a lot of returning starters. We were young last year. We had juniors all over the place, and so we're a year older. We came into this year with very high expectations, but we were hurt. I mean, I have adjusted our offense. I have held people back. I mean, Sam Scott towards ACL last year against Cody. Clancy Marhart towards ACL against Cody last year. Brody Hasneck came in, and I never talk about injuries, but now that we're in the final game, it's okay. Brody comes into the year with broke ribs, a wrist that's going to have surgery, a PCL injury, an MCO injury. And so our goal was just to get to the playoffs with the senior class healthy so that we could make a run, because we knew if we got to the playoffs with all our guys healthy, we would be okay and we'd be able to make a run. So some other guys had to step up this year, earlier in the year, and just spread the wealth, so to speak. And yeah.
You mentioned Pocatello playing a couple teams out of state. How nice was that early to kind of just maybe test your guys, know what you were going to face towards the end with Star Valley and Cody and getting into the playoffs?
Well, we played Teton. We always have to. It's a a rival game. But Bear Lake is a good football team. I think they're still in the playoffs over there in Idaho, still playing. But Pocatello, we gave up 3 kickoff returns. Yeah, not an exaggeration. And then my punter threw a pick 6, if that's possible.
Apparently it is.
Yeah, we gave up 28 points in special teams, and we lost by 26. Sadler threw for over 400. We had almost 600 yards of offense. I would have liked to play them again and see where we were really at, where we didn't have those early season special team mistakes. And hats off to them, because they're a really good football team. But I felt like we could play a little bit better showing than we gave. But we knew that Cody and Douglas had really good team speed, and we knew that Pocatello's team speed was probably going to be the best that we'd seen all year. So we wanted to see, that early on right away, so that our guys, it wasn't a shock and awe thing when we ran into Cody, week 9, and then Douglas in the semis. And I really felt like it helped us just kind of operate, a little bit. In years past, we played some lesser opponents early in the season, and then we get to the big dogs like Star Valley, and it's, it has an effect. And so that Pocatello game really helped us out later on in the year.
Sadler Smith, you really have a lot of praise for that young man, and rightfully so. He's a terrific football player, but not everybody around the state knows about him. I think people might have learned in the last year and a half his name, but they maybe haven't seen him play as much. Now that you're on a big stage like this, where it is at War Memorial Stadium, what can you say about him and his development the last few years?
Well, he's, in my opinion, been the best quarterback in the state for the 3 years. And, you know, I'll never understand why our Teton game doesn't count for stats, because it's a real game. It counts in Idaho for stats. And if you count his stats right now, he's got 3,100 yards passing, 3,100 yards. Well, the record's like 3,190.
Yeah.
And so, and he's done that in 11 games. This will be his 12th game. And, you know, there's 3 start athletes, however you want to call it, you know, Coulter Dawson, Sadler Smith, and the kid from Rock Springs. And so I don't know why people hadn't heard from him, but he's a game changer. You know, he could have rushed for 1,000 yards and thrown for just as many, but I don't run him in some of those games that I think we can control. I won't run him, but in the big games, you know, he's hot and everybody knows it. And so now you have to stop his arms, his legs, and everybody else, and it just adds a dimension. But he's the best quarterback I've coached, and I've coached some really good ones. I've been around the nation coaching just different programs. I've seen them, and if he was in any other market, so to speak, he would be going to probably a big time college. It's just we're so isolated. It's just hard to get people to come up here, and so I'm hoping he plays well. You know, he usually does in big games. He's a gamer. So
you get Cody again. What'd you take away from the regular season meeting? Let's start there.
It was, I mean, we know each other, like, you know, you know, it's a small world. You know, I do these silly videos for Championship Productions, and a friend of mine does too, and Cody runs their offense. And, you know, me and him were talking because, you know, the guy that invented those videos, that's Cody's offense. And so it's like you guys, it's one big circle where you kind of just know everybody. And so it was what it was. You know, we played, that's probably our worst offensive game that we had played all year. We missed more assignments against Cody than we had against everybody, but a part of that's Cody, you know, making you do that stuff. And they're well coached, but they've, you know, just compared to everybody else in 3A, they've got an army. They, from top to bottom, from their freshmen to their JV team to their high school, they have size, team speed. They don't really have a weakness. And so we knew we were going to have to play well. And, you know, I could have managed the last 4 minutes of the game a little better, and probably snuck one out right there. But, you know, it worked out the way it was supposed to in the end. You know, just unexpected things happen in the last 6 minutes that just are uncharacteristic of us, that hopefully won't happen again Friday.
Well, speaking of that, how do you go about fixing those? So what makes the difference this time around? And I'm sure you're happy to be coming to Laramie instead of going back to Cody.
You're right about that. Yeah, I don't want to go back up there. It was fun. It was fun up there, but you know, I've seen enough of the city of Cody in the last few years. But you know, just we've got to be us. You know, we literally have feathered the brakes, so to speak. And just to get to this point with this senior class, you know, I do the average, and I see these boys since they're 8th grade. They're the first group I saw when I moved to Jackson. I went to the middle school, and they're the first group I met was this senior class. And we have spent an average of 255 days together each. I mean, I see them 255 days a year. I see them every day that there's school day, and so I'm gonna leave it in their hands. You know, we know where they're gonna be. We know our read keys. They know where we're gonna be. And now, you know, if they're the better team and they beat us, we'll tip our hats, and you know, we can live with it. But I just want both teams, them included. I want us to play good, and then have it settled out there to see who the better team is. I feel like, you know, we have some better talents in spots than they do, and they definitely have better talents in spots than we do. And we're just gonna have to, you know, sell it on the pitch, as they say over there.
Yeah, let's not go to soccer here. Let's stay in the football.
I've been watching Ted Lasso. I've been watching Ted Lasso on the weekend, you know, trying to channel my inner Ted.
The finer points of the game, is that what makes the difference in this? Just basically comes down to execution, since you guys know each other so well.
Yeah, you know, McFadden, you know, he might pull out some tricks to try to beat me. I don't know. It would shock me if he went there, just because we both want to know who's better, who has a better team, and so it's going to come down to just the little details of as simple as having your head on the right side of a block and that block getting sustained versus missing a block. I think it'll come down to that stuff right there in the end, and it's going to hopefully be a physical game and a fourth quarter game that everybody will enjoy watching.
Couple more for you real quick. Number one, this is your guys' first trip to Laramie. So how do you handle that? How are you going about things where you've got to, make another trek across the state again and play in a different place? And obviously I think it's a cool atmosphere, and I guess I'm selfish because it's in my hometown of Laramie, but how do you handle all that?
Luckily, we got to go to the dome over there in Pocatello, and
Okay.
I really felt like that kind of affected our play. We were kind of in shock and awe of like going in there and just the facilities and the treatment. And so I'm glad we got to do that early in the year so that they're not as it's not as new to them. And so we're gonna leave Wednesday night and spend all day on football on Thursday down there, just so that we can get over that stuff. So that Friday when it rolls around, it's just another day, another game. And so I really feel like the combination of getting to go to Pocatello in that environment, and then the way we handled it and the week of practice we had after that, and then just getting to leave and spend basically the entire day down there Thursday and not having to worry about travel just to adjust will really help us.
Lastly, how do you get your guys to settle in early? Sometimes guys get a little too hyped for a big game like this. They're going 180 miles an hour trying to make a play, and they get themselves, like you said, out of position or the hat's on the wrong side. How do you get you guys just to settle in and just play football early on in a big game like this?
That's a good question. Last week was really hard. That was the hardest week for me because our kids, have a goal and they so wanted it so bad. And I'm trying to explain to them, and it's hard to. They're teenage boys. They'd played Douglas. They beat Douglas last year, but you forget how hard it was last year down there. It's 21-14 as a nail biter, and I'm trying to explain to them they're a way better football team this year than they were last year, and so already this week there's been like a relief on them. Like, okay, now we can focus. We're here. We know we have 1 week left. Now we got this in front of us. The task is here, and we can do it. And so, but I don't know. During the game, that first kickoff, everybody's going to be razzed up and going. And so, we talk about early, no big plays. Don't give up anything. Just keep it in front. They can get a few first downs. Let them have it. Settle in, and then we can go from there. But we just can't give up something really big early.
Coach, thank you so much for your time. Pleasure to kind of see you, and I'll see you on Friday. Best of luck.
Yeah, thanks. See you on Friday.